Delivered straight from the cloud to your hand. This Android phone is just a little different, offering a combination of local and online storage for your apps and data. Hi there guys, it's Craig from MobileTechTalk, and today I'll be giving my full review of the Nextbit Robin. The Nextbit Robin's unique selling point is arguably one of the most innovative features of the last few years, attempting to solve a real-world problem for consumers whilst maintaining high-quality performance and a striking design aesthetic. Before we get to all that, however, let's take a look at what you get in the Nextbit Robin package. The box is a tall rectangular shape with a sheath that's easily removed to provide access to the book-style inner packaging that holds the device. Inside the cover, the pages deliver some quick start instructions and some information about the phone itself, and it seems a nice way to get new users up to speed. Beyond those lie the device itself, a SIM ejector tool and a USB Type-C cable in a striking mint colour. We have the midnight colour variant of the device here, and we'd like to have seen an appropriately coloured USB cable to go with it, but at least it's a flat cable which will drastically reduce its ability to get tangled. It's all packaged rather nicely, if a little large. This package could have been around half the size, especially due to the absence of any included wall charger. I guess Nextbit assume we've all got access to one of these. In case you don't, Nextbit do offer a wall adapter from their store for a rather reasonable $15 premium though. Let's take a closer look at the device and its specifications. Size-wise, this device is comparable with the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, with the dimensions being within 1 to 2mm of the Galaxy device, at 149mm by 72mm and just 7mm thin. The Robin is powered by a Snapdragon 808 processor, the same processor as found in the likes of the LG G4, so isn't bleeding edge technology any longer, but it is still very capable. The 808 is paired with 3GB of RAM, 32GB of internal storage augmented by 100GB of Nextbit cloud storage, and a 5.2-inch IPS LCD 1080p display. No QHD or AMOLED here folks. Moving on, there are dual front-facing speakers, a 12MP rear-facing camera with phase detection autofocus capable of 4K video recording, and a front-facing 5MP selfie camera capable of 1080p video recording. The fingerprint sensor is embedded into the home button on the right, with a 3.5mm audio jack up top. Individual volume controls are housed on the left hand side, and a USB Type-C port and notification LED live on the bottom edge of the device. The soft plastic construction belies the blocky look of this device, providing a comfortable in-hand experience, thanks to the slight taper on the edges, and whilst the design might not be to everyone's liking, it's certainly interesting and it's great to see something just a little bit different in the Android space. Battery life on the Nextbit Robin is par for the course, with us managing around 4 hours screen time in our testing, with standby time being excellent with up to 2 days thanks to Marshmallow's doze. With these specifications packed into the Nextbit Robin, it's safe to say this is an upper mid-range device and it's still capable of some stellar performance. Games and apps ran speedily and without incident in our testing, and the Robin UI suffered only minor hiccups, more than likely related to first generation software rather than any deficiency in the Robin's internals. The Nextbit Robin opts for a relatively familiar feel with its skin, but with a twist. Running Android 6.0 Marshmallow, the Robin strays from the norm in its implementation of home screens and an app drawer. There are two separate home screen layers. The first is the normal home screen experience with app icons and folders, with an added persistent Robin Apps button. An out to in pinch on the home screen displays a layer where only widgets can be housed, nothing else. This took some getting used to, as Android has long been known for mixing widgets and apps on home screens for a consistent immersive feel. This layer takes the user away from that experience, causing widgets to be used less, at least in our testing. Whilst all new applications installed sit on the ever-expanding number of home screens, there is still an app launcher, of sorts. The aforementioned persistent app button allows the quick view of all apps, pinned apps and archive apps. Whilst this does serve as an app drawer, it's infinitely easier to swipe across the home screens to the icon you need. We think this definitely needs some work. The unique selling point of the Robin is its storage solution. The Nextbit Cloud looks to augment local storage. Simply put, When users come close to filling their phone's storage, the offending apps are moved to the cloud and replaced with a greyed out icon to show its archived status. Pinned apps can be chosen to ensure they are never archived, and reintroducing apps to the phone is as easy as tapping on them to essentially reinstall and restore the application data. In theory, this is great. In practice, there are a few issues. Firstly, when Wi-Fi isn't available to the device, this can murder data usage unless you're lucky enough to have an unlimited data plan. Secondly, Nextbit are seemingly a victim of their own autonomy here, with there being no way to manually make use of their 100GB of storage they deliver, waiting instead for the device to decide when and what to archive. In a pinch, it's useful, but we think delivering a microSD card with the Marshmallow adopted storage feature might have been a better solution. Moving on to the embedded Nextbit apps, most are acceptable with the built-in Messenger, Gallery and Dialer apps all being functional. The camera app, however, is plagued by poor performance, something they've addressed in a forthcoming April update. So let's take a look at the camera quality. The 13 megapixel camera on the Nextbit Robin delivers good quality images in good light. Low light quality leaves something to be desired, however, and the same can be said for the front-facing 5 megapixel camera imagery as well. Let's start with the camera app though. The app itself is sluggish, taking well over a second to snap a shot and sometimes flat out crashing when attempting any HDR shot. It should be noted that the speed isn't the shutter speed, this is the app response, but when you're taking photos it manifests as the same experience. Nextbit are aware of this and have pledged an April update to fix it. Whilst relatively sparse, the controls are hidden under 3 main sections with auto and manual modes available where ISO, exposure, white balance and focus can all be changed. In manual mode we actually preferred using the manual focus option for up close photography more than the macro mode. Simply put, there's enough features to keep the average user busy. When HDR does fire, it can produce some really nice shots, bringing in detail from the fore and background as well as dealing with bright and shaded subjects really well. There is a little bit of noise in some shots, but nothing too bad. At its highest resolution, the 13 megapixel camera takes shots in a 4:3 aspect ratio, which might be off-putting for some, although a 16:9 aspect ratio can be used if you're happy to take a dip in resolution to 8.3 megapixels. These images have been cropped to fit in with the aspect ratio of this video. As you can see, colour reproduction seems good, with a slightly colder temperature and the tendency to sometimes wash out brighter subjects. On the whole, not too bad though. The front-facing camera also manages to deliver some decent shots too, all depending on the subject of course. Sadly, low light is a different story, with some grain being introduced into the photos. Now let's take a look at some video. The front-facing 5 megapixel selfie camera, capable of 1080p video, seems more than capable at dealing with exposure differences, and you get quite a lot of detail with it. Apologies for the stuffy nature of the audio. I'm bunged up. It's not that the Nextbit Robin's bad at taking audio, it's the fact that I've got a bit of man flu. So let's just do a bit of a pan here and see the sort of video you can expect. Getting some sun coming through the trees, so we'll see what the exposure's like as well. Now let's just take a little walk. I'm holding it with 2 hands, so trying to stabilise it as much as I possibly can. I've got a guy that we're going to video unsuspectingly in a minute. We'll go towards this because it's sunbathed at the moment. So as you can see, it's doing a pretty good job. I'm not sure how it's doing in terms of stabilisation. The one thing hey, there's my shadow. As you can see, it seems quite nice and there isn't much to complain about when it comes to the video on this device. We didn't find anything too detrimental to the video quality in our testing, but the dynamic contrast did seem a little slow when in 4K mode. But this was helped a little when switching to 1080p instead. So this is the 4K video recording. The Nextbit Robin has a tough task. Not only is it the new kid on the block, but in many aspects its first offering is still playing catch up. No QHD display, no wireless charging, and most importantly for its sales, no carrier agreements. This device can only be purchased from Nextbit for $399 direct, which is around £280. That price point should however tell you exactly where the Robin sits. It's in the mid-tier. It's at the top end of that tier, but the mid-range is where its specifications and experience sit. The unique selling point of the Robin, being its cloud storage, is something of a moot point. The Robin is a good phone in its own right, and even without the 100GB of cloud storage, it would still be a perfectly valid option. With Nextbit guaranteeing updates to resolve the camera issues, provide bug fixes as well as upgrade the operating system to 6.0.1 of Android Marshmallow, we're sure to see improvements. Based on the device as it stands now though, is it worth the price? Absolutely. Its robust and fresh design is coupled with a hardware package which is still more than good enough to power through almost all daily tasks, and at its price point there is little brand new that can match it. Nextbit might not become millionaires off the back of the Robin, but they have shown some that taking a risk in the smartphone market doesn't always backfire.